Now, China, not Canada, is America's real enemy. That's the subject of the riff. So last night I had dinner with a bunch of Canadian CEOs, all of whom do business in the U.S. and are proud to be American allies down through the years. But they asked me why President Trump keeps talking about Canada as the 51st state, when in fact Canadians themselves are very proud of Canada's sovereignty. Now, as a strong defender of Mr. Trump's reciprocal fair trade policy, I still can't quite figure out the 51st state business. And frankly, I told those folks they'd have to ask President Trump himself. Now, today in the Oval Office, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, met with President Trump, and by all accounts, it was a very cordial meeting. Here's some of the byplay between Trump and Carney. Take a listen.
Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together.
Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes two to tango, right? But never say never. Never say never.
All right, there you have it. Canada's not for sale, according to Prime Minister Carney. And polls show by a huge margin the vast majority of Canadians agree with their new prime minister. Indeed, that issue was one of the deciding issues in the campaign that elected Mr. Carney in the first place. So I never really understood President Trump's logic constantly pursuing this 51st state business, except it may as well have been a hangover from the Justin Trudeau era, where Mr. Trump had a very strong dislike for Trudeau, and rightly so. I was there during some of their acrimonious meetings, and we'll never forget how Trudeau held a press conference right after the G7 meeting in Canada in 2018, basically stabbed Trump in the back while the president was flying on his way to meet Xi Jinping in Singapore. So I sure can't blame Trump for an eternal spillover regarding Trudeau. But stepping back from all that for a moment, I dare say Canada is not the enemy. They are a longtime partner and ally. Now, they have weaknesses. We'll get to that in just a moment. But when it comes to pouring it on, I'd like to see Mr. Trump save the vitriol for China, which is our worst enemy. And after negotiating for 2.5 years, let's not forget this, 2.5 years, then signing the Phase 1 China trade deal, the Chinese went out and adhered to none of it. That's right, none of it. Especially damaging lies about their failure to stop the precursor chemicals for fentanyl that they flood us with on a constant basis. Sometimes Mr. Trump says the U.S. has a $200 billion trade deficit with Canada, but the numbers don't bear that out. Canada supplies about 1/4 of the refined oil used in America. And so if you exclude oil imports, the U.S. actually has about a $35 billion trade surplus in goods with Canada. It's a rare surplus country. And by the way, we do need their oil. At least at the moment, we need it. Now, Canada's got problems with unfair banking regulations, a digital services tax on American companies, and a revenue tax on U.S. online streaming companies. And we have age-old differences on things like lumber and dairy, so I get all that. And the USMCA trade deal, well, that's going to be under review. Hopefully that review will be completed about a year from now when it's due in May 2026. So I am glad the Carney-Trump meeting was cordial and calm. Somehow, I don't think Canada is America's real enemy. And I still believe that the Ronald Reagan vision of a North American free trade zone, Canada, U.S., and Mexico, I still believe that's possible if some of the kinks and glitches can be worked out. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I also believe this: China is our real enemy, and we should focus on that one. Anyway, that's tonight's riff.